What have you seen genuinely shitty people do that they thought was perfectly acceptable? You'd be surprised how many tourists don't bother to walk the 50 feet to the nearest trash can on the beach. Cigarette butts by the hundreds of thousands. Beer bottles. Cans. Dirty diapers. More plastic than you can imagine. It all just goes right on the beach. Someone else will pick it up, right? A kid at the high school I graduated from had his friends film him in the bathroom, pulling his pants all the way down to pee like an autistic kid who was in the bathroom at the same time, just to make fun of him. While his friends were filming this, he decided it would be funny to pee on the autistic boy and ask to be spanked. He was the kind of kid who looks great on paper, but has the eyes of a cat strangler and is cruel in person. He obviously thought there was nothing wrong with what he did because he laughed and taunted the poor kid the whole time and posted it on social media, which led to him losing a full ride to a state college for swimming and his being expelled from school. Charges were pressed and he's currently awaiting a criminal trial to determine whether or not he'll end up a sex offender. Say to my wife, well, at least my baby will go to heaven. We were at a weekly group session for parents of deceased children. This woman asked my wife how our son died and replied with that when she found out he died of an overdose. One of my shittiest ex-friends stayed over with another friend after his parents kicked him out. My friend let him stay rent-free and he complained about everything. Complained about her cats, about not having a key, about not being allowed to stay longer. When my friend had enough, he's long gone across the country and out of our lives now, thankfully. I walked in the restroom the other day and the smell was just awful. There was only one guy in there and he obviously just took a dump. Dude walked over to the sink, looking like he was gonna wash his hands. Instead, he cupped his hands, collected some water, and took a nice big gulp and splashed the rest on his face. Treat the elderly in nursing homes badly. I work at a nursing home, and while I have a lot of awesome coworkers who are very good at their job, I also have a lot of trashy ones. To give an example, I one time overheard one of the patients say to a coworker that she really needed to go to the toilet. This lady was in a wheelchair and needed help. My coworker said, well, you're wearing a diaper, aren't you? Those can hold up to 8 liters. Just pee already. I was shocked. My coworker went to have her smoke and I immediately helped the lady in the wheelchair. Yes, she did wear a special Tina pants, but a lot of my coworkers don't seem to understand that these kind of pants are to prevent accidents, not to encourage incontinence. The sad thing is, this kind of things are very hard to prove, especially when the patients have dementia, like they do in the nursing home I work at. I have had multiple conversations with the manager about this kind of things, resulting into absolutely nothing done about it. I think the shortage in staff doesn't help with this problem. Using a disposable barbecue on the beach and leaving it half buried in the sand for someone to step on with their bare feet. Happens all the time on the beach near me. Working as a bagger in a grocery store, I was bagging a customer's groceries like any other day. When I bagged some raw meat, I noticed my hand was sticky. Looking at it, I had what looked like blood on my hand. Thinking it was the raw meat and the packaging had a cut, I checked it to see if we should get the customer a different package. The customer saw me doing this and smiled, informed me that the package was not damaged. The blood was, in fact, his, as he showed me his hand with a giant open cut on it. After discovering the horror, me and the cashier realized the blood was everywhere and his wound was still leaking blood onto the ground. The customer laughed the entire time. Edit. Thanks for my first silver stranger. Thanks to everyone for my most upvoted comment yet. And thank you everyone for the happy cake days. A work colleague lets everyone else on the team do the work while he vanishes, or he does the odd bit of work. When someone calls him lazy, his response is that the company pays him for what he knows, not for what he can do. In other words, he picks the jobs he wants to do, which isn't very much. Not me, but my mother. She works banquet bartenders at a high-end casino and gets to see the most ridiculous things rich assholes think are perfectly fine. She had one guy finish his drink at her bar, not tip, and then grab a new glass from a waitress walking by and actually took money from my mother's tip jar and gave it to the waitress. He legitimately turned back and had no clue why my mother looked so dumbfounded. Another time the CEO that owned the casino gave a speech and got too close to the mic, which caused that loud squealing feedback. He finished his speech and promptly fired the entire audio team on the spot for screwing up his speech loud enough for the entire room to hear him. Final story was from when a charitable client gave all the bartenders a $1,000 tip to be evenly distributed for their hard work. Guy gave it to my mother's manager, walked away, and she and almost all her coworkers watched as her boss pocketed the entire thing and waltzed off. I was once on the New York City subway in early February. The train was pretty packed. We got delayed our tunnel and the heat kicked off. This young blonde girl, shivering her ass in the middle of this, says, "Oh my god, I'm so cold." 5 seconds pass, the same girl shrieks at the top of her lungs. Everyone in the car then watched as a dude behind released her hips and stopped grinding his dick against her butt. Everyone's staring and he says, totally straight-faced, "What?" She said she was cold. If you say something mean/cruel to someone you supposedly love and then follow it up with "I didn't mean it," but you do it over and over again, yeah, you really do mean it. One girl I knew always took help from others in college. Afterwards she wasn't just unthankful, she started talking really badly about the people who helped her and actively made their lives worse. Cut in line because they're in a hurry, as if their schedule somehow trumps the need to conform to the line. Talk down to others who are blue-collar workers just because they are janitors or such. If I see that, I will go up to them and tell them, because I know the worker can't risk their job. Bullying or being condescending in general is just something I don't tolerate. Insulting retail workers or servers. Yes, I'm sure it was 25% off, but the register isn't cooperating. But telling the person that they are a useless human being isn't gonna help the situation. I'm sure something can go wrong in your job that isn't your fault too, and being yelled at isn't gonna make you want to do it faster. I worked in retail sales. A guy used to come in all the time. He was a veteran and clearly suffering from dementia or PTSD and always had a caseworker with him. He would come in and look for gifts for his mom and someone would always try to talk him into signing up for credit. Luckily, his caretaker would look out for him and talk him out of it. One day he came in and said the program that paid for his caseworker was slashed in funding and he only had her 2 days a week instead of 5, but it was Monday and he goes to the mall on Mondays. A sales associate not only signed him up for credit, but maximumed out his 5k balance knowing full well he didn't have the faculty to pay the bill. She made her sales goal that year and got a trip to Florida. Was serving an extremely rude lady through drive-thru, but since we serve rude customers all the time, I was just acting normal. I hand her drink and then a straw. She proceeds to take the straw out of the paper sleeve and then just toss the sleeve out the window and then just driving away. Just casual littering. Honestly, the way my in-laws treat my wife, unless she murdered the family dog before we met and they're forever punishing her, there is no reason for how shitty they are to her. And if you call them out on it, they act as if they are so confused and insulted that it makes me think they truly think it's acceptable. A lot of dogs over where I live froze to death over the recent blizzard because their owners left them outside in the chilling winds and snowstorms. Their reasoning: "I don't want that wet dog smell inside my house." I wish people like this could get banned from ever having pets. I'm an adjunct professor, and I can't stand it when other professors make fun of their students around each other. And I don't necessarily mean complaining about a student that's being a pain in the ass, though that might not be the healthiest thing either. It mostly just bugs me when instructors make fun of their students' work. I teach English/creative writing, especially when it's clear that the student was probably trying their best, which they usually are. In my experience, I mean, yes, some of the students have never written a story before, and the results can be a little bit funny, but their learning and writing is a very personal thing for a lot of people, and it doesn't seem cool to make fun of them. I guess some professors think it doesn't matter because they're not saying it to the student's face, and bad writing can be really funny. I get it, but these are your students. They're coming to you for help. It's like if your doctor made fun of you for being fat behind your back. I don't know, it just seems a bit shitty to me.